No, I know I love you too.
I didn't say I love you.
I know you wanted to say it.
Hey guys, it's Bob West, and we're moving ahead today with part 7 of this mess. Today we'll be looking into Destiel, specifically in Season 8 of Supernatural. Normally, I do recaps and commentary more or less in order because it makes the most sense to me, but today I feel like we need to start in Purgatory with all of the Purgatory and then go into it. The flashbacks stretch through several episodes, but they canonically happen first, so true to that, we'll look into it. Of course, we left these idiots at the end of Season 7 with Cass just straight up ditching Dean in Purgatory to get the Leviathan away from the Hunter. Purgatory plotline is a powerhouse on its own. Dean, Cass, and Benny are the fucking best to begin with, and the rawness and roughness Dean returns with packs a real punch. Dean is heading through Purgatory on a warpath to find Cass. He tortures and interrogates just about anything that moves to find him. Benny offers him a way out, and Dean is just like, yeah, sure, whatever, I gotta go get Cass. And he is so happy when he finds Cass, just grinning, coming in for a hug, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first time Dean ever hugs Cass. Cass gave him half a hug back when he was first insane in the hospital, but I think this is the first time meaningful contact has ever been initiated by Dean. Dean isn't even going to interrogate Cass about where he's been. It's Benny who has to bring it up, and Dean is pretty hurt when Cass first says he ran away.
Why'd you bail on Dean?
Dude,
The way I hear it, you two hit Monsterland, and Hot Wings here took off. I figure he owes you some backstory.
look, we were surrounded, okay? Some freak jumped Cass, obviously he kicked its ass, right? What?
I ran away.
You ran away.
I had to.
That's your excuse for leaving me with those gorilla wolves.
Dean,
You bailed out and what? Went camping? I prayed to you, Cass, every night.
I know.
You know, and you didn't... What the hell's wrong with you?
I am an angel in a land of abominations. There have been things hunting me from the moment we arrived.
Join the club!
These are not just monsters, Dean, they're Leviathan. I have a price on my head, and I've been trying to stay one step ahead of them to keep them away from you. That's why I ran.
He prayed to Cass every night for at least weeks at this point, if not longer. Cass admits that it was to keep Leviathan away from Dean, and Dean accepts. Benny wants to leave him, and Cass wants him to leave, but Dean very straightforwardly says he's not going to leave Purgatory without Cass, and he means it. And
Purgatory has an escape hatch, but I got no idea if it's angel friendly.
Hey, we'll figure it out. Cass, buddy, I need you. And if Leviathan want to take a shot at us, let them. We ganked those bitches once before, we can do it again.
It's too dangerous.
Let me bottom line it for you. I'm not leaving here without you. Understand?
I understand.
Cass agrees to come. He knows at this point he isn't planning on returning with Dean, but he isn't willing to risk Dean deciding to stay, so he plans on getting Dean up to the portal. I think Benny knows too, frankly, and they together keep trying to get Dean to agree to split up with Cass to take less Leviathan risk while they're crossing Purgatory. Cat, I need to move on. I could show and talk about every single Purgatory clip in depth. I really think these strung together are some of my favorite scenes in Supernatural. The first pass of me talking about this here ended up being almost a 15-minute video with just the Purgatory clips without the rest of the season, but it wasn't all just about Cass and him, so it didn't really fit. Anyway, skipping ahead. If we follow Dean's memories of what happened, Cass tried to make it out with him, and he lost grip on his hand and got thrown out of Purgatory and unable to bring Cass through. Dean sort of hardens himself to this and finds Sam. When asked about it, he can't talk about it really directly. He just evades and says something happened to Cass and he was gone. These flashbacks are presented very much in the light of PTSD type flashbacks, so when Dean starts seeing Cass again, he sort of dismisses it as just an expansion of that. He talks to Sam about it when Sam finds him at the window, probably the most straightforward Dean has ever been about his emotions, frankly. When Cass finally shows, he sort of full stop panics. He throws a wall up around himself immediately because the guilt he's been hiding from at not being able to get him out is spit like right in his face. He latches onto the idea that something is wrong because he can't get himself to admit that something would manage to get Cass out when he couldn't. And he's angry. He just brings out the defensive anger. He straight tells Cass he did everything, angrily tells Cass that he didn't leave him behind because this entire thing throws into doubt what he did do.
What the hell happened? Back there, purgatory. I told you I would get you out. We were there. It's like you just gave up. It's like you didn't believe we could do it. I mean, you kept saying that you didn't think it would work. Did you not trust me?
Dean.
I did everything I could to get you out. Everything. I did not leave you.
Cass, of course, is confused. He doesn't feel like Dean abandoned him. He knows Dean didn't abandon him. It takes until the end of the episode for him to realize what exactly Dean was feeling, to realize that this entire episode he's been angry at Cass for being reckless as a defense mechanism to cover up the guilt that he didn't manage to save Cass, that Dean felt responsible because he failed to pull Cass out, and Cass reveals the true unedited memory that he let go on purpose because he didn't want to be saved. And then Cass tags along with them, for what I was hoping would be a good long while, but would end up being just this episode. But he and Cass have some good moments. Dean is still mad that Cass chose to leave him to stay in purgatory. Frankly, Dean's biggest fear, repeated by him often, his biggest fear in the entire world is being abandoned by the people he cares most about. So, Cass pretty much just confirmed his worst nightmare. But anyway, he is trying his best to get along with him. Sam, at least, is endlessly amused watching them. Cass is being particularly Cass-like, and it's endearing to Dean. I love Cass just casually pawing through Dean's stuff. When they're alone, even after everything, their interactions are incredibly sincere. Dean is the one to offer the talk. He admits that he's happy Cass is back and then checks in with Cass, and when he sees Cass is upset, he comes to offer real, actual comfort. Cass straight yells at him, and Dean, Mr. Immediately Defensive, instead stands up and goes over to ask him what's really going on. For a guy who can't handle his own emotions and who shies away from other people's emotions, he's offering one hell of a bridge here. After Purgatory, they're both far more in tune with each other's needs. Understandably so, they've been slogging through that shit show for months together. Cass realizes why Dean is having such a hard time in the last episode. Dean is helping Cass work through shit in this episode. I think this season really was another one of those key turning points in the evolution of their relationship. Of course, then Cass immediately abandons Dean again, but, nothing's perfect. Cass's behavior when rescuing Samandriel sounds the alarm bells in Dean's head immediately. Of course, even knowing this, Dean prays to Cass, asking him to keep an eye on Sam and just reaching out in general. And then we skip ahead to Naomi on the tail end of trying desperately, and it turns out unsuccessfully, try to overwrite Cass's strongest core programming of, not killing Dean. This angel is Heaven's puppet master, the one who reprograms angels and has since the dawn of time. She has fully hacked Cass's operating system and had him practice on hundreds of Deans in an attempt to get him ready to sever this link. And whoop, wouldn't you know it, it doesn't work. Shocker. It isn't even that she wants him specifically to kill Dean. She just is attempting to ensure that Cass doesn't break out of Heaven's control literally every time he is near Dean. I mean, the implication is back in Season 4, when Cass almost spilled the beans about Heaven's plans and he got sent back for reprogramming, that Naomi is the one who did it, and then 3 days later he rebelled against Heaven for Dean. She knows his weak spot. When Sam and Dean meet up with Cass, Sam finds out and tries to get a read on why Dean reached out to Cass, even thinking he was not on the level. When it finally comes down to it, Naomi tells him to kill Dean half a dozen times before Cass even hits him. Naomi at this point is just sitting in heaven God fucking damn it, this again. And this episode is big. Here's the thing. A lot of people are mad because in the original script, Dean says I love you, and in the final filming, Dean says we're family and I need you. There are a lot of different layers to that. Hear me out. First off, Robbie Thompson has confirmed that the original line was "I love you." When interviewed about it, he said his intent doesn't matter, the show's intent matters. He said the line was replaced with "We're family." The important thing to note here is that he says that nowhere did he have scripted "We need you, I need you." And he doesn't know who added it day of, but they were just entirely added onto the script. And here's the thing. The meaning is still there. Cass was still entirely unable to kill Dean, and Dean's plea is what snaps him out of Naomi's control long enough for him to be able to touch the tablet and disconnect entirely. Beyond that, here's the real thing. Dean doesn't say "I love you" to anyone, really, for any reason. It's just not who he is. He says it to Sam all the time, their bitch-jerk exchange. It's just "I love you." Jensen and Misha quoted this episode, amongst others, where the language had been just too direct, where it doesn't feel like something Dean would just come out and say, and I agree. His "I love you" for Cass is "I need you." It broke Cass in Purgatory because Cass knows what the fuck he means. Because Cass and his relationship is based on the idea that when one of them needs the other, that is when they drop what they are doing and show up unless they really can. So, to me, this makes way more sense than an "I love you," especially given the relationship that they themselves have carved out and defined for each other. As for "We're family," how do I put this? Dean has 4 core beliefs that make up his entire personality and drive and have defined him as a person from early childhood, more or less installed by his father. They are as follows. Number 1. Family is the strongest and most important bond in the entire world, reserved only for those who mean the most to you. 2. Dean is inherently unlovable. 3. Everyone will eventually leave Dean. And 4. Dean has a responsibility to save everyone else at the expense of himself. Dean does not believe he can be loved, especially unconditionally. He attempts to make himself as necessary as possible in a desperate attempt to try to be good enough or at least useful enough that Sam won't leave, so Cass won't leave. But when primary aspects of his motivation in life are that he is not allowed to take anything for himself, he is unlovable, and family is the most important bond in the world, you start to realize how Dean would never fucking come out and say "I love you" to Cass, and would instead repeatedly try to insist that he's family. All he can do is bestow the most reverential title he has. He tries to convey to Cass just how much he means by calling him family, because family is the most important thing to him. But anyway, enough of all that. Boom, Cass is snapped out of Heaven's control. He heals Dean, and then, abandons Dean again right after he basically bared his soul for Cass, so, they're doing great. Small moments happen over the next few episodes. Next episode, Sam tries to check in with Dean about his feelings on what happened, but Dean has retreated behind every wall he knows how to build, so it goes, poorly. Naomi drops in and tries to spin her side of Cass being off the rails, but Dean believes even a sort of unreliable Cass over Naomi any day. The gay as all get out Charlie tries to make Dean talk about how dreamy Cass is. Cass demonstrates once again that he can always find Dean, even though Dean is heavily warded and no other angel can track him. Cass tries to apologize. Dean is pissed, though given how thoroughly Dean cuts people out when he is actually properly pissed, I think this probably would just be classified as Dean is annoyed. Sam tries to defuse the situation with no luck. Dean finally snaps and tells Cass to stay behind, but even in a conversation where he lays out that Sam is trustworthy and reliable and Cass isn't, he still ends it with, an order for Cass to take care of himself and heal. And then Cass, having literally no idea what to do, tries to make amends in any small way by getting food for them. In the final episode, Cass comes to Dean. This entire season is Cass coming, doing something sketchy, hitting Dean right where he's vulnerable, and then abandoning Dean, and Dean just sort of being, not a shithead about it. 2 seconds ago, Cass just ditched them again to go work with Metatron without telling him, and now they're sitting in a bar, and Dean is asking if it's really worth him going and locking himself with the angels who are likely to kill him. Cass, on his part, is willing to lock himself up in heaven and die to keep the angels from wreaking havoc on Earth. It's not explicitly for Dean, but protecting Earth and free will is Dean's cause, so I'm gonna count it. And then this season ends with it falling apart. Cass not waiting for Dean's help and walking into Metatron's trap and the angels falling. This is a good season. For Destiel, at least. A lot of other things, we're talking about the dog, not so much. But this is the season where I think Dean knows. Where he knows that he is closer to Cass than he has been with anyone. This is really the season he sort of slows down and allows himself to connect with Cass, to lose some of the walls he keeps in place, to let Cass in. Even repeatedly being punished for having done so, he keeps extending the olive branch, and that's directly fighting what he's been conditioned to do. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this. Get ready for me to yell a lot about Season 9 next Thursday. Matt has been suffering through me hashing out my thoughts on this all week. It's a doozy. I urge you guys to check out my Ko-fi account. Even if you cannot donate, I do try to share some fun things there. Future episode title cards and the like. Sometimes I'm going to start sharing doodles that I do while I wait for all this footage to download, render, and convert. I shared one last week and people seem to enjoy it. And also, if you want to email me, it's bobertwes@gmail.com. I'm also just hoping to hear from you guys on some episodes you'd like me to kind of look into. Things that you might want me to take a closer look than you've had somebody, rant about before. And I would love it if you'd like and subscribe if you haven't already, because frankly, that's just weird. It's like number 7 of these things. Clearly you like me, and I'll see you guys next week.